Hi everybody, it's Janine. I am back with another video today. I am in my basement where we currently reside for the most part, and I'm going to just talk to you a little bit about my journey in learning how to sew. So now you'll have to excuse, I'm again in a basement and it is kind of primitive down here. I have a electrical cord hanging. I have some copper line. I don't know if you can see it in the video for plumbing. It's all exposed. Don't worry, I'm not going to get shocked. It's got end caps, insulator caps on the bottom of it. But like, this is where I'm spending the majority of my time right now until my house is put together. So I wanted to show you a project that first of all, I have to tell you, I don't know how to sew. Okay, I took one class on how to make a tote bag several years ago, and it was only because I had a teacher standing over my shoulder telling me every move I needed to make that project ended up being successful. Otherwise, the most I've ever had for education on how to sew was an 8th grade economics class where we made sleep gowns, I believe, and it did not go well. I don't believe I was ever able to sleep in my sleep gown. My grandmother knew how to sew, and I'm sure she told me that I probably should learn how when I was a young girl, but of course, you know what young girl wants to do that when there's so many other things to be out doing when you're young. So it wasn't until later in life that I decided I probably should learn how to sew. I do have a sewing machine that Josh bought me a few years ago. The ladies in my family are short, so as Mariah was growing, I often had to hem skirts and pants for her because everything is just too long. And for myself, I've had to do a lot of hemming, and I'm able to do that. Like, that's a no-brainer kind of a thing. It isn't professional by any means, but I can make a long garment shorter. So I have a very basic Brother sewing machine that I've had for many years. I've dug it out, and while I'm in this transition period of not being able to do home study stuff or even home stuff, I'm taking this opportunity to fill my days with learning how to sew. So one of my friend YouTubers, Cosmopolitan Cornbread, recently did a video where she did a demo on how to make a canning mat. So I took her idea and I made one. I've actually made a couple, and it's very basic. It's just a rectangle with a front and a back, and on the inside is a material called Insulbrite, which is a heat reflective material, so that when you put this on your countertop and you pull your hot canning jars out of the canner and you put it on here, it's not going, the heat from those canning jars isn't going to seep through to your countertops and cause them to scorch. So this didn't require any kind of pattern, just very, very basic skills. And I've made 2 of them now, which I'm going to gift to some friends because, again, they're labors of love. They're not very professional, but they'll do the trick, right? So that is something I have done here recently. This little project is my first project ever utilizing a actual pattern. It is a simple tunic dress. It's got pockets, and it's got like a little decorative contrast material on the bottom. But it seems like it's pretty easy. The pattern says it's easy to sew. So I am making an effort to try. I've watched a YouTube tutorial of a lady making this exact pattern. And I have studied it. I have studied the directions on this thing. And I am finally at the point where I'm getting ready to pin the pieces onto the main fabric and getting ready to cut, which is sort of terrifying because, you guys, material is expensive. Like, I don't remember, granted, I never really shopped for material, but it's crazy expensive. Like, the material that I have purchased for this dress was on sale. And the material alone was in the neighborhood of $32 for this very simple dress, which, granted, it is all 100% cotton. But whoever says that making your own clothes is more cost efficient than buying them, I don't know. This one isn't going to be cheap. I mean, I'm a thrift shop buyer, so anything that costs me more than $15 to put on my body, it's not, I don't like that. But anyhow, so I'm going to take you along. You'll get to see me struggle, and you'll get to see me hopefully at some point put this thing on. So stick around. So before we get too far along in this tunic dress project, I wanted to show you something that was an abject failure that I just did yesterday. So I mentioned Insulbright is that heat reflective material that I bought and put in the canning mats. On the bolt that it comes in, it has this paper, and it has a pattern for oven mitts on there. So I thought, oh, how cute! I will make some oven mitts with this pattern. So again, there's not a lot of, if you don't know how to sew, these sort of directions aren't helpful. There's a lot of assumed knowledge that people, that pattern makers just assume that you know what they're talking about when they make these directions, and I don't know. So I should have taken a clue by putting my hand on the pattern that the finished product was going to have to be very, very small. So this pattern would work if you are a child, or you are from some nationality where you're just incredibly, incredibly bone thin and tiny and frail. But if you are a normal human being, this pattern will not work for you. And as evidence, I'm going to show you. So this was one of the layers that I made according to the directions on this pattern. And yeah, like already I'm having to scrunch up my hand just to get it in here. So I just gave up. I just gave up on this one. I'm going to repurpose the material and the insulation here, and I will make something else with it. I downloaded another oven mitt pattern from a more reliable source, I think, and it's about twice as large as this, and the instructions are much clearer. For instance, the Insulbright one, the assumed knowledge was that you weren't going to be a moron and try to pin all of these layers. So there's the fabric itself, there's the Insulbright, there's a lining fabric, and then there's this cotton batting. So like 4 layers, and here I am trying to pin them all together. Don't do that. The directions I have now watched on YouTube of this other PDF pattern that I've downloaded tells you just take all of those layers before you even cut out the pattern. Take them to your machine and just quilt the layers together so that they're already stuck together. That way when you cut them out, yeah. Anyhow, I'm just telling you, live and learn. This is going to be a fun learning experience. Yeah, so here you are. Fail number 1. For not knowing what I'm doing, I'm actually making pretty good progress on my dress, and I wanted to show you what I have completed so far. So I have my front piece and my back piece sewn together at the shoulders. I have my pockets are sewn on the front. I have my ties sewn. I have little pleats right here that are going to sit just under the bust line. And I have, of course, my coordinating fabric on the bottom. So you can kind of see what this is going to look like. It's starting to come together. I have my neckline sewn together using bias tape. Okay. You guys, like 2 weeks ago, I didn't know what bias tape was, much less like what to do with it or how to use it. I still am kind of iffy on whether I did this correctly or not. But boy, that looks really big, doesn't it? So we'll see. This might end up being like way big, but I, again, don't really know what I'm doing with sizing. So I am to the point now where I'm supposed to bias tape the armhole. And I am really, really, really struggling with this part. I've read the directions, okay, and I have watched the lady on YouTube who made the same dress. Hello, Edith. And it's the directions are as clear as mud to me. So I've been watching some other just generic videos on how to use bias tape on an armhole, and I think I might have a learning disorder because it isn't making any sense to me. So I'm going to muddle through. I'm going to do what I think makes sense. If it doesn't make sense and it turns out like garbage, then you'll get to see that. But I'm like almost done with this project. I mean, really the armholes coming together is the last thing before I sew the sides together. And then that's really almost it. Just a hem along the bottom. And then I'll be done. So I don't want to like stall out on this project. I want to keep it going. So we're just going to give this a whirl. And I will update you on how it turns out. I was not aware that sewing is a violent sport, and you will bleed on occasion. Hi everyone, it's the day of the big reveal for my dress. Yahoo! So I would rate this experience as a positive overall. I went from not even knowing at all how to do anything with a sewing machine except make a hem to actually choosing a pattern, cutting out pattern pieces, following directions on how to piece the different parts together, how to use bias tape, and it's I'm pretty excited that I was able to accomplish this through just watching some YouTube tutorials and reading explicitly the directions a million times. So the dress turned out okay. There's some things I don't love about it, and it's not really a fault of the pattern, it's more the dress isn't suited so much for my body. And so the biggest learning experience, I think, was that when you choose a pattern and you're trying to decide size, it's much more about your actual measurements than it is about what normal clothing size you wear. So for instance, you can't just look at a pattern and say you can cut pieces for small, medium, large, extra large. And you say, well, normally my clothes, I wear a large. And then just cut that pattern size. It's not so much about that as it is about, like I said, your actual measurements. So when you don't have a model body and you're somewhere in between small, medium, large, extra large, you have to pick one pattern to cut. So I picked the extra large in this pattern, and it was probably a mistake to do so. It fits me well in some aspects, and then in others it's just, I'm swimming in it. But that's a lesson learned. So I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about here. So for instance, the neckline, okay? The neckline in this extra large pattern scoops way, way down. The shoulders sit way down here, like past where my bra strap would sit, instead of up here where my shirt would sit. So this neckline is built for, I mean, not my body. So I am okay because I had intended for this dress to be worn in the fall and winter. So wearing a scarf kind of to disguise that deep neckline is all right. The other thing I'm not crazy about is the sleeves. They are it's neither a no sleeve or a long sleeve. It just cuts right off, right below the deltoid for me, and I don't have great arms. So I would have preferred to have either no sleeves where I could just wear a t-shirt under it, or longer sleeves. And that's not the fault of the pattern. That's just, I picked this style of dress and it's not awesome for my body. So I'll just back up a little bit more. You can kind of see, I love my pockets. I'm very pleased. The girl loves pockets on her dress. I love the colors I chose, with the gold pockets and the green bodice, and then the navy blue floral bottom. I think that was a good choice. And I'll just give you a little spin around so you can see the whole thing. Got my ties. I'm wearing something I made. That's like amazing to me. So yeah, I'm gonna pair it with my boots in the fall and winter. Maybe I'll put on like a long sleeve t-shirt. I'm just excited. I did a thing. Like I learned a thing. I learned another thing about patterns. So this one, let me just show you. Let me lower this camera down a little bit. So this one I think I showed you while I was making it. It has pleats that sit right under the bust line. Okay. That might be great if you're 20 and you have a perky body, but when you're 54 almost, pleats were a bad choice. But I think overall the pattern, the amount of fabric I have in this dress, it's so roomy. It doesn't show up terribly much. So there you have it. I will definitely be choosing another pattern, and maybe I'll take you along on that, I guess. Maybe as my skills improve over time, I can show you a little bit more in depth as I learn. But for today, that's it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Stick around for more content, and it's been a pleasure taking you along on my really weird and crazy adventures.